So I was wrong about Outlaw Rogue. Midnight changed it completely. First they pruned my boy, then they buffed my boy, and now I'm a changed man when it comes to how cool I think Outlaw is. How cool, you ask? Let me tell you. Going over the major changes, there are 3 main talents that have been changed in the class tree that will alter your gameplay. First of all, Cold Blood is no more, and now it is replaced with Cold-Blooded Killer, which is a passive boost to your finisher damage when you crit with generators, and you will play this. Probably. Supercharger now works with Adrenaline Rush, and Airborne Irritant is no longer an AoE CC. As for the actual changes, likely the most controversial one, but probably best for the class, was the change to the stealth gameplay. It's gone, Dunzo, sleeping with the fishes. Crackshot and Underhanded Upper Hand are gone as well, so managing subterfuge windows and uptime of other cooldowns has been removed. The next big change is to roll the bones. The new version has 4 total buffs, which now are levels to their power, and each is stronger and includes the bonuses from the previous ones. For instance, the lowest one is One of a Kind, which increases your chance for opportunity to proc. Double Trouble is the second level, and this one adds an increase to your combo point generators on top of what One of a Kind gives you. Triple Threat will add 40% more strength to Restless Blades. And the last bonus is Jackpot, where you get 15% increased crit chance on top of all the other buffs. Arguably, the strongest buff individually is the first one, so with this design, the feeling of rolling bad buffs is kind of gone, and you will likely just press roll the bones on cooldown unless you get a Jackpot or maybe even a Triple Threat. We will see what the math brains cook up. Speaking of cooking, the best cook you can do if you enjoyed this video is to hit that like and subscribe button. It boosts the video up, the channel, and the morale of rogue players here at Marcelian&Flames. We would also be super grateful if you want to go the extra mile, which we have a Patreon link for, and it's down in the description. Thank you very much. Now let's get back to Roll the Bones. I won't go into all of the talents that have been lost since the list is long, but the main ones have remained, at least the ones for this particular mechanic, which are Sleight of Hand and Loaded Dice. Count the Odds though has been removed. 2 new related talents are Dragon Bone Dice and Grand Melee, which in the case of the former, it makes every Roll the Bones buff a bit better, while Grand Melee is actually not a Roll the Bones talent, but since the name is the same to an old Roll the Bones buff, thought I'd just include it here. At Midnight, it will just make Blade Flurry cleave more damage in AoE. And of course, we still have Keep It Rolling, which now is way easier and straightforward to use, but likely less exciting, to be honest. Although not actually reworked, Opportunity has gotten some slight changes and a few new toys. First of all, it has 10% increased chance to proc with the new talent Find an Opening, which directly affects Audacity and Hidden Opportunity talents and the gameplay that they would create. Not sure if this is supposed to replace Triple Threat as the old talent, not the new Roll the Bones buff, but at least the tooltips are actually way more intuitive. Fan the Hammer now works, or at least is worded slightly different, with Opportunity giving you 2 extra charges instead of 1, and Pistol Shot consuming up to a total of 3 charges for the extra damage and combo points. Flickering Steel is a new talent that buffs Sinister Strike and Ambush, but also makes them generate more energy when they proc Opportunity. Between the Eyes has been changed to increase the damage you do for its duration, instead of the crit interaction it has been having for some years now. Also, Improved Between the Eyes will now make its crits do triple damage instead of quadruple. With a lot of crit bonuses baked into other parts of the talent tree, maybe the devs wanted to distribute the damage of Between the Eyes to more parts of your kit. However, Precision Shot was buffed to now also increase the damage of Between the Eyes as well as your pistol shots. Ace Up Your Sleeve is now a 2-pointer, making it a bit more expensive to get and likely a solid 1-point investment just for the reset. Summerly Dispatch now buffs your finisher by 20% instead of 6, with the buff being bigger during your Between the Eyes damage increase proc, but it doesn't seem to stack anymore. Zero In is a new talent that seems strong but a bit counterintuitive. Your auto attack crits increase the crit chance of Between the Eyes by 3%, stacking 20 times. I'm confused. If you have a lot of crit to promote more auto attacks to crit, then the value of the crit of Between the Eyes goes lower, no? Unless you get a specific crit amount to make it guaranteed to crit, which has to be factored into Jackpot, that also gives you 15% crit chance. So if we assume Zero In can actually realistically stack 20 times in between each Between the Eyes cast, that means the finisher would have a base of 60% crit chance. Add the Jackpot crit, if you have it of course, and that leaves you with 25% crit chance that you have to have on your gear or character sheet overall. This doesn't really mean anything, by the way. Your damage isn't just Between the Eyes, and you won't always have Jackpot. But when you put them side by side, it's hard to figure out what the real value of crit is. And that's all I'm saying. Lastly, a new capstone is fast action that seems incredibly useless. I cannot tell what the value of 5 seconds less cooldown is to Between the Eyes, because without it, I can get 3 to 5 dispatches before I get Between the Eyes back off cooldown, and with the capstone, it doesn't seem to change. There is quite a bit of variance based on your opportunity procs, roll the bones, and your lucky crits on how fast you can generate combo points. That makes it hard to kind of guess how many Between the Eyes you would get. The most accurate answer you can have is you need one fewer finisher to cast in between each Between the Eyes, since each finisher that uses normally 5 combo points or more shaves off 5 seconds at least of its cooldown. So you could say the capstone gives you a free finisher's worth of Restless Blades cooldown reduction. That's a mouthful. That seems a bit underwhelming for a capstone. Lastly, the newest change that was supposed to put Outlaw back on the map is preparation. And it kind of doesn't at the moment. It instantly refreshes Adrenaline Rush, Between the Eyes, Blade Flurry, Blade Rush, and Killing Spree. Assuming you have all of these talented, you are looking at creating some nice burst windows, potentially. Problem is, in my opinion, that the Adrenaline Rush duration doesn't stack, and it has to, so you still need to wait the 15 seconds of Adrenaline Rush before using it again, which makes it feel shitty, since during those 15 seconds you will already shave off cooldown from your abilities with Restless Blades. So you end up wasting that time. If you could stack Adrenaline Rush, you can just shoot prep out instantly after you just put all of those abilities on cooldown. The playstyle for Outlaw changed a bit, at least when it comes to how you interact with your cooldowns. Roll the Bones is definitely easier to manage and track, since there are only 4 buffs to track, and you never have to research which is better or not, since it's really made clear to you. The flip side is that now they are boring, and mainly a maintenance buff. Not like Slice and Dice, sure, which is how I criticized it before, but you can still likely min-max it. There are probably going to be some simulations that calculate the odds of you getting Jackpot that might make it refreshing Double Trouble or Triple Threat into a one-of-a-kind worth it if it accelerates your chances to get Jackpot. This in turn absolutely does not make maintaining this simple, since your average rogue still has to go online and read guides as to the best way of using it. Alternatively, it can prove that the gain is so minor if you upgrade your Roll the Bones buff that you either never really care what the buff is that you get, or that refreshing it is more of a whatever situation, which in turn will make Keep It Rolling a bit redundant or lame. If the strongest buff is the first one that you always get, what's the point of keeping it rolling then? Obviously, using it on a Jackpot is the goal, but then how much better is it to keep it on cooldown for the chances of you getting a Jackpot versus using it more often for triple threats, or even more often for Double Trouble? Do you aggressively refresh Roll the Bones when you have triple threat to hopefully get a Jackpot so you can use Keep It Rolling? I don't mind RNG, but the problem, allegedly, of this interaction doesn't seem to have been solved, and my guess is that once it will be solved, the excitement of this mechanic will also be gone. All I'm saying is that as a capstone, this doesn't really feel exciting anymore, since getting Jackpot is definitely not as cool as getting 5 buffs from the live version of Roll the Bones, and then extending it with Keep It Rolling. I played a few versions of Outlaw, mostly Fatebound, since Trickster didn't really get any interesting changes. Fatebound had a few talents removed, some reworked, and a bunch of new ones added. Deal Fate makes Sinister Strike and Ambush grant 1 additional combo point when they would generate opportunity. Deliver Doom gives your finishers 5% more damage when they consume 5 combo points. Some nice little good gameplay habits to promote. Overflowing Purse is a new one where Dispatch has a super tiny chance to give you 3 coin flips. Rush the Inevitable replaced an old talent, and this one just works on your energy regeneration. The new column of talents has Sometimes Lucky for 3% crit chance, Controlled Chaos, likely the only really interesting talent, which makes your 4 streak breaks start a new streak with another coin similar to the one that ended the previous mentioned streak, essentially putting you on a new 2 coin streak. Lastly, Ravenhold Mint just buffs the heads and tails mechanic. Not particularly exciting since the entire tree is just passive, where you cannot play into specific flips, and tracking them changes nothing in your rotation, so But it does give you more cosmic damage for some reason, because hey, rogues have to be astronauts as well, so I thought it would be more interesting. I played this build that focused more on killing spree and ended up being the more fun version of Outlaw. Yes, I did play Hidden Opportunity and Audacity with it because 1, it's my favorite version of Outlaw since Crackshot is gone, and 2, there are so many talents that buff ambush now that I figured it would just be most fun. And it was, because honestly, if you take the ambush procs away and the amount of pistol shot procs it can give implicitly, the gameplay just becomes way more dull. I did want to try a more roll the bones focused playstyle, so I swapped to this build with Keep It Rolling from Killing Spree and replaced the Ace Up Your Sleeves with Sleight of Hand, since why not increase the chances that Keep It Rolling can extend a good buff from Roll the Bones. And honestly, I could barely tell the difference between the first build and this one. I saw absolutely no incentive to play fast action, and after doing both of these builds, I can safely move from preparation to killing spree in all scenarios. Normally I play only Trickster, so wanted to take the opportunity to check Fatebound a bit, and that all happened on our stream at twitch.tv/Marcelian&Flame, which you can hop onto and chat about Rogue, about the direction of class changes, or why undead rogues are best. Honestly, indubitably, I like rogues. Just to cover the changes to Trickster, you have only the new talents on the new column that change from what I was able to tell. Hoodwink buffs the phased mechanic by 3%, Flashing Steel lets you get more unseen blades, and Clever Combatant adds 20% crit chance to pistol shot, making the crit dilemma pop up again. But also, feel like now I have to track my unseen blade windows? The only time pistol shot giving unseen blade sounds to be bad is when you would be at range because you just had to step out of a mechanic and cannot keep uptime on the target to benefit from the buff, unless it ends up not mattering at all, which would turn this talent into another passive one that makes no difference in gameplay whether you have it or not. Although Crackshot was my favorite ever Outlaw talent, the new Apex talents kind of want to keep this mechanic in. First of all, I'm no fan of repackaged mechanics being sold as the new thing in an expansion. I usually take this opportunity to always say it every time that this is lazy design. But alas, Gravedigger are your Apex talents, and the first node makes Between the Eyes have a 45% chance to apply 2 stacks of the damage increase buff. The second node is just a passive damage proc from Dispatch, while the third node gives Dispatch a chance per combo point to stack a buff or a bullet. When you have this 6 times, your next Between the Eyes consumes them, eats no energy, generates 6 combo points, and resets its own cooldown. Obviously, this is a fun mechanic, but I do wish it wasn't just Crackshot repurposed with more bland passive damage procs. I did not make it very clear, but I actually enjoyed this version of Outlaw as opposed to the alpha one I tested earlier. It gives me hope that they can keep iterating on it, but it still is less fun than the live one. I don't want complexity as a driving factor for how a spec feels, but I want cool moments during my rotation. Killing Spree is about as cool as this spec gets, since both Prep and Keep It Rolling feel very underwhelming at this moment. However, I still see the Outlaw in there, the pistol shot procs, the heavy ambushes, all parts of the fantasy of this spec that I really enjoy and have been preserved and made more impactful. But outside of these, not much else seems to be going on. We did release a ranking on fun when it comes to the midnight DPS specs, and I humbly say I would have ranked Rogue, Outlaw at the very least, higher had I dove deeper into it. But you can check our video out and see what we consider to be fun, why, and maybe what you can expect from the current versions of classes right here.